The first of Star Citizen's mech suits is in game right now on 3.24.1 in the PTU, available to all waves, but you do need to find an Evo to spawn them. Thank you to my long-term subscribers. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Okay, so right off the bat, thank you to Osiris for hosting us on this test. We had a ball, a lot of us here. Forgive any random noises and in chat and such, anything written. I'm not checking it or anything like that. This is purely a test. This is the Argo ATLS, the Atlas, as some would call it. And it has a unique tractor beam feature. It is not a coincidence, many of us believe, that the one-handed tractor beam was nerfed considerably recently, especially for its distance, its strength at distance. And this thing is completely different than what you're used to. So what you'll see right away is that when you click, it brings if there's a good line of sight, sometimes it does clip through things and works anyway when it shouldn't, but I'm sure that'll be fixed eventually. But it puts it above right in front of your head of the mech suit, which is a good thing that you have this little bit of this roll cage, which I'm sure in combat wouldn't help you very much because almost your whole body is exposed except for your legs and parts of your arms. But um, for moving around cargo, it's nice to have something that can take a bump once in a while. That you're working in. As you can see, it can fling things around with ease. It has a significant distance, and you'll see that later in the video. Use chapters, of course, as always, to jump. And you'll notice that there is some bugs, and there is a limitation to this suit in certain ships. Right off the bat, we thought that a C2 would be an excellent choice, the Hercules series in general, to move cargo with this type of suit, and it does fit the suit and the cargo no problem. However, only in the middle of the craft's primary deck, the lower deck that's full of the cargo, um, can it properly raise it above its head, the cargo. Now, one of the other interesting things about the Atlas suit is that it is incredibly buggy, but we can already see where it's going. It has a hand, much like a human hand that was holding like a one-hand tractor beam. You can manipulate it on its own. You can move it around. Uh, but it's not like aim down sights. It's you aim it, but the suit can stand still, and you just like when you're maneuvering your hand, you can move your hand around the point of it things. So there's three controls essentially. There's your hand, then there's the mouse as it moves left to right, and that turns the torso and part of the suit as well, because the torso doesn't have that much range of motion. And then there's the actual walking WASD with the suit. So there's basically three parts to this. In this section, you'll see that we have some of the rare flair I spawned for everybody to have a good time with it and test things out. And the usuals, the fish tanks move no problem, tables move no problem, all sorts of that kind of stuff. But the workbench, the cot, the lamp, they're still unmovable. So even in this powerful device. Interestingly, it can stabilize size 1 vehicles. We learned that by accident by clicking on one of the suits that was unattended with no person in it. Notice the distance. This is the distance that it can go. This may get nerfed a little bit. You'll note the light bars are showing the strength and the weight of what you're trying to carry. So they're good at-a-glance devices to give you an idea of what's going on. And the tractor beam's on the right hand. The left hand currently does nothing, but if it is even able to do a physical punch, it's going to be interesting, or at least some type of bracing, like a right click or something like that would be nice. So if another suit throws something towards you, or you're trying to punch your way out of something, say the side of a broken ship or something, I can dream. It would be really cool to see this suit kind of do things like that. But for now, it is currently just for show. The only real traction is the tractor beam. I don't think this suit is fully finished yet. I also think they're going to sell this suit. There is a rumor mill that is currently showing 6 different paints for this vehicle. And normally paints are sold or issued out to subscribers and things like that when it is something that is sold in this case. And this will sell extremely well. especially if there is a combat variant coming. If I was CIG, I would not sell the combat variant alongside this thing. I would sell this first, I would sell like hotcakes, and then sell the combat variant later. And for the record, I've seen concept art of the combat variant without like frontal chest armor, which is ridiculous. It's like in the Matrix third of the trilogy of the movies. That's a terrible idea. I understand for balance, like they should leave the head exposed maybe, and then just wear heavy armor as some type of balance, some type of control. But to leave the chest and the head exposed is just that's just insane to me. But that's it's just poor. I hope that's not the case. But anyway, you can see that there is some limitations. You can't swivel things yet. So with the two-hand tractor beam, with the one-hand tractor beam, you can mouse wheel around and it spins it. You hold the key down and that's it. You pick a spot. With this, you basically just have the blue and the green icons. Green means it's just kind of free floating there, supported by the ground, so to speak. It's not actually part of cargo, and blue means it's actually properly locked into the cargo grid. Inside the cargo elevator, they work great. Inside a ship, as I detailed, there is limitations. But overall, they're very fun, very cool. I think if your ship can fit one, you should. I did not confirm it independently, but there are players that have noted that the C1 can fit one of these with a bunch of asterisks attached to that. And C2s, M2s certainly can fit quite a few of these things, A2s, whatever. Do remember that I'm going to state the obvious here. If you had like 3 of these parked inside a Herc, you're going to lose a little bit of your cargo space. When you hop out, it's very basic. The suit just kind of unfolds. And in general, I think it kind of grew attached to me. I kind of felt like it's been in the game forever. I know that's kind of weird to describe about a brand new thing, but I don't know. And as for what kind of suit I see it as, I understand the aliens reference. It's it's there, I'm sure, but it does happen to have a tractor beam, which is really neat. But the bigger thing for me is that the look is just really well done. Even when it's just sitting there, the arms and the legs and everything just look very, very, very cool. Even in this, and honestly, Argo Orange doesn't look bad at all. You can see that it looks legit. It looks realistic. I do like that when it's not in deployed mode, it's not like it gains height, which is, I think, the most critical thing that could be a deal breaker for this type of a mech suit. To fit in more and more ships, the height is going to be the issue, not the width, in my opinion. And as for how it feels like it walks, if you don't have a chance to get in 3.24.1 PTU and have a good time, what I would suggest is I can volunteer at least how it feels to me. Note that you can move the mouse on its own, and then if you move it too far, the whole torso will start moving, and the torso pivots left to right on the mouse, and then as you do bigger movements, so it's like micro is like all around on the tractor beam, macro you start moving left to right with the mouse, and then WAS and D move the legs. And for the record, the legs feel a lot like the Battlefield 21 and 42 walkers. I'm sorry. I know it's a weird comparison. I know they don't look the same. I know that, but it feels like them. It's not as fast as them. It cannot sprint. It cannot jump. It cannot go like scroll wheel faster based on what we could see. It seems to just be locked in. Now, this just because it might just be because it's a testing environment. There's already a ton of bugs that are being found. We tested ourselves that if two people tractor beam the same thing, we were teleported out of the hangar. It like broke the game basically for us anyway. Didn't break the server, and I'll see if this gets back to you. You can clearly see that was not me that tractor beamed that item. It was the other suit. So now looking back at the video as I edited, I found that we finally solved the mystery of how you got your 2 or 3 leg injury. So yeah, I'm been vindicated because I felt horrible. I was like, great, you were kind enough to set us all up for good, and we somehow injured you. But yeah, so here's the cargo again, and this is kind of a more classic example of how you'd play, spawning various crates, 8 SCUs, 16 SCUs, containers, and bigger 24s, and the 24s are gut buster inside the Hercs anyway. So the 16s are a pleasure to use. They're like the correct size. Like they feel like They feel like they're the worth doing, if that's a fair way to put it. The tiny little containers, the one SCU jobs are just kind of, they feel like they take way longer. You have this big suit, you're deploying this giant vehicle, not giant vehicle, but giant system compared to like a handheld. You might as well take advantage of it. But once again, those 24s tend to be kind of iffy inside the vehicle. I would stack them last, put the smaller containers in first, and then you can nestle them in real nice. And then as you get to the edges, get bigger and bigger and bigger cargo containers. Remember that they sit above your head. Remember, as you saw the vehicle swivel, it kind of carries it in front of it, regardless of which way you look. And if you spin too fast, it starts breaking the tether. And you don't want like a 24 SCU spinning around above your head and then breaking its tether. It might hurt somebody, including yourself. And once again, these suits do have those roll cages, which is nice. Overall, I think they're a good package for what they're trying to do. There are limitations. Be mindful with any kind of hype, no matter how excited we all are, that you just need to decide if this is going to fit in your ship, if this is going to fit your gameplay, if you're actually going to have a use for this thing. I think at the very least, this is going to be at the 40 USD price point. It's going to come with LTI. It's going to be a war bond opportunity, maybe 35 war bond. Maybe that this is me trying to go as low as possible. They are very practical. They are very useful. I strongly believe they'll be available in game shortly after the hype train's over. And probably this is not the last of the mechs that we see. This technology is a brand new type of ship. And I think the closest example we can think of this is like the hover bikes or basically the hover bikes. Think of it like that. They're a niche item that is very useful, and we've seen many of them. Note this: when you pick something up and it's free floating, it can kind of create some issues. Uh, we were experiencing desync issues. I think I mentioned that earlier, and this is an example of like you can pick something up, and if you're not careful, it won't be able to click back in because it does have that ability to clip in. So plan your, especially the 24s. I don't know why they cause so much trouble, but plan your openings. Start from the front, work to the back. Try to use bigger to smaller, smaller to bigger when you're actually stocking a ship. And you'll note that the freight contain this is probably the first time that a freight hangar is seeing this type of vehicle. This is an 896 SCU freight container. With mine, that's like an 1100 plus. It would be even easier to utilize this vehicle inside of them, and that's what I see it as. It's like a tool utility vehicle. They're extremely slow. They are not practical. You are exposed to the elements. They do not work in zero G. So I have very reliable friends that have told me that. I wish I wish I was in that ship when they tested that out. And there is some bugs on the tractor beams as usual. Be careful. They are extremely easy to throw things around at incredible distances, but with great power comes great responsibility and a great way to knock out your friends. One of you should be packing a paramed device and a few drugs for, especially for broken bones. Hint, hint. That's kind of where I'm at. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you check out the Argo Atlas yourself and you're happy start of the 3.24.1 cycle. I'll add this as an overtime. Last night was kind of a soul crusher. If you were around for the tech preview run up that was kind of done, I would not count CIG out for the count, but not this weekend. I don't think it's gonna be a little bit, probably late next week if I was to guess, if I had a crystal ball, um, which I don't. But those tests will be coming. So don't think that just because we suddenly have 3.24.1 testing and the Atlas suits to toy with, suddenly CIG has given up on the double 800 player count tests. They're coming. Just give it some time. All right, for real. That's all I got. Have a great weekend.